Hello everyone and welcome to my 7th Java video tutorial, and in this video we're going to be talking a little bit about how to get user input. So what I mean by this is whenever you run your application you want to interact with the user, so you want to get some sort of input from the user, and the way you do this is first you're going to want to type in the word scanner. And by the way, we're still going to be using the same class and the same main method, okay? So make sure your code looks just like it does right here on the screen. So we'll go ahead and type in scanner, and then we need to give this object. We're creating an object. We need to give it a name. So we'll just call it gets user input or something, right? And then we'll set it equal to a new scanner object, and inside the inside the parentheses what we're going to type in is system.in, and then at the end we'll put a semicolon. Now I know what you're wondering is, well, why are there red squiggly lines? The reason for that is because the scanner code actually comes from, it's someone else's code technically, and so what we want to do is we want to import it onto our file so that we can use it. And that's the whole thing about object-oriented programming, is that you want to be able to reuse people's code. And one way to easily do this, to import, to add an import statement, is you can go ahead and highlight that or hover your mouse over it and then just click on import scanner, and it'll put this line of code on here, and all this really says is, hey man, please use whatever is inside this directory. So inside of java util.scanner. All right, so these are this is a directory. All right, so now that we created our object, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a new variable, okay, of type string. Again, we'll call it var1. Now the question is, what are we going to assign to it? What we're going to assign to it is whatever the user inputs. So we need to grab the object which we named gets user input, so gets user input, and then we'll do dot next line, which just means that it'll get the next line of whatever the user inputs. I'll show you guys how it works in just a second. So what we did here is we created an object of type scanner. We created a scanner object, okay, and we called it gets user input. Then on here we created a variable called var1, which is of type string, and the value that we're going to give it is whatever the user inputs, okay? So now, if you remember the system.out.println statement, we can use this to output anything on the screen, right? So if we were to type in var1, okay, and then let's go ahead and add or concatenate, right? Because we're not really going to work with numbers here. We're working with strings, okay? So we'll go ahead and do var1 plus, and let's just add that on there, okay? So we'll go ahead and run this. As you can see, nothing really shows up on the console window, and the reason for that is because it's waiting for input from the user. So we'll go ahead and type in my favorite programming language, is. Okay, and then once you hit enter, what happens is, see, this is what's running here is this right here. Okay, so it's waiting for the next line. It's grabbing the next line and it's inputting it. It's throwing it inside this var1 variable, which is of type string. Once we hit enter, it'll throw this var1 in here and it'll tack on this Java text. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit enter, and that's what we get. Pretty cool, right? So let's go ahead and change it up a little bit. If we were to, let's see, if we were to run this again, but instead of putting letters, we're gonna go ahead and add put numbers on there. So it'll be 77 Java. But if we do something like this, like if we do var1 plus 1, right, you would think it would be 77 plus 1, which would be 78. But it's actually not, it's not, well, we have to put 77 first, right? It won't be 78, but instead it'll be 77 and then 1, or 771. And the reason for that is because we told the scanner that we were actually going to get a string from the user, and that's what this next line means. If we want to change that to numbers, we would have to put dot, and then there's one over here called next int. Okay, if we plan on getting ints, and the reason this is complaining is because this variable is of type string, so we would actually have to change this to type int, right? So now if we rerun this and we type in 77 again, now it's 78, because now it's treating it as a number and not a string. So these are two pretty cool instructions. Again, we have our system.out.println, which prints stuff out onto the console, and we have this scanner object, which is also pretty neat because that's how we get input from the user. All right, well, that is all, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is Andre. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and stay tuned for my other video tutorials. They'll be really, really awesome, I promise. All right, thank you, and see you later.